Psalms, it's not historic. We're not trying to relive David's tragedies. And this I very much disagree with. It's not a theory, but a methodology. You go to the average class, it's mostly, well, what did Rachel mean when she said this? And what did David have in mind when he did this? As a chassid, especially as a Breslover chassid, very nice, interesting, but what does that teach us in terms of our disappointments, our rebellious children, our difficulties with in-laws? You know the difference between in-laws and outlaws. Outlaws are wanted. Okay. But we've all had those kind of fights. So Nachman says, when saying Psalms, that a person should have in mind the war, not the war with swords and spears, but of emotions, of feelings, the fight of evil outside and within is trying to keep us back from being who we should be, and we can be. Someone's very depressed, can't move, can't do anything. He lays like a stone. And what is depression? According to Freud, anger directed inward. According to Rabbi Nachman, anger directed to God. I don't like the way you're running things. Certainly you messed up my life enough. Really? Or did we mess it up and have the opportunity to rebuild it based on God's teachings, as we have them in the Hebrew Bible? Now, so the main war is a war of the evil inclination and its forces, that they're the main enemies of a person and the haters of a person. We have to know the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, is not our friend. The Zohar gives a parable of a king who wanted to test his son if he's worthy to inherit the kingdom, and he hired a prostitute to seduce his son. The prostitute knew it was just a test. She wanted the son to refuse. She wanted to please the king. Her job was to do everything she could to get the son to do the wrong thing, but that's the way he's being tested. So the same way, the evil inclination knows what God wants. His job is to test us and to put challenges for us to overcome, and it's not our friend. You know, on the Yom Kippur and other times when confession is recited, is accustomed to pound the chest. Hashem Begadnu. The Lubavitchers have a saying about that. Make sure the evil inclination knows you're hitting it, and not patting on the back for a job well done. These the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination's forces, they want to keep a person from the path of life. They want to keep your life so it's not life. Always worried, always chasing an impossible dream when you could be chasing a possible dream, and determining if something really isn't possible, or just you've put limitations on yourself that aren't real. And the whole book of Psalms is really about this. You read it casually, it's about David and Saul and Absalom, but really it's about the struggle of every man and woman with the forces of life and trying to come out on top and saying, I have faith, I know it's going to change, or it has changed, I'm giving thanks. Rabbi Nachman says this is the main root and foundation, and of all the ways, all kinds of advice of serving God. The main thing is prayer, but finding yourself in the prayer. Even our regular daily prayers, they may talk about Jerusalem and the Jewish people and etc. What's Jerusalem? Rabbi Nachman says Jerusalem, in Hebrew Yerushalayim, is Yirat Shalem, pure awe and emotion. The purity of our emotion, our faith, not that our worldly Jerusalem is nothing, so it's very important, but this is reflected in our own lives. Right now, honestly, we'd rather have our five greatest dreams fulfilled or see the rebuilding of Jerusalem. What means more to us, honestly, right now at this moment? I want to see the rebuilding of Jerusalem. The number of things right now that are priorities in my life that are keeping me back much more than that Jerusalem hasn't been rebuilt to its former glory. I feel that, but that only reflects back to me. Am I what I should be? Are my emotions where they should be, or am I, or are they, or are they really misdirected? I have a friend. She deals a lot with people with emotional problems, and most people have some kind of emotional problem. Maybe it may not be clinical. Her music is all about give it a day, pray it on by. And she's really been searching her own life to find these things. She, for a long time, was away from religion. And she's looking to find another way that religion should not only be, you better believe the right things. There's also hell on earth that we all go through. And it's emotions. And some people, they make the hell worse by giving ourselves over to alcohol and drugs and other addictions. Each of us has our own way of doing that, and these things don't help, they only hurt. As you probably know, alcohol is a depressant. So when a person is depressed and they drink alcohol, they may be drunk enough to sleep for a while, but then even more depressed. Alcohol is a depressant. Okay, and pray it on by. Give it a day. Find not only about the kingdom of heaven and the New Jerusalem, but find that Rabbi Nachman talks about Jerusalem in the heart, the emotions, the spiritual center. If a person will ask God, help me in this. It's not only a personal struggle. Help me with my struggle. Help me to pray it on by. Help me to give it a day. That very often, Rabbi Nachman talks about this, Rabbi Natan has a great deal written on this, the greatest crimes in history, because people didn't wait for the right time. You're so anxious to get married, you marry the wrong person. So anxious for a career, you take the wrong job. In the Bible, through Adam and Eve, well, it doesn't say specifically in the Bible, but the Rabbinic tradition says that Adam was supposed to eat the tree of knowledge. When? On Shabbat. When did he eat it? A few hours earlier. And we do have clearly in the Bible, Moses is going up for 40 days. At the end of 40 days, they build the golden calf. Why? People thought 40 including today. Actually meant 40 not including today. So Moses came down a number of hours later. Had they waited another few hours, Moses would have come down from the mountain. No calf. When I was a kid, I used to visit some distant relatives who had a chicken farm down in New Jersey. And they also had a grapevine. I remember that very clear. I was just interested in agriculture when I was in second grade. I wanted to be a farmer. You watch a modern farmer every morning on the TV. It was my career goal. I didn't please my parents too much. But when I visit my relatives, they also had a grapevine. And it fascinated me so much. Under these huge leaves were these little baby grapes. I couldn't resist, and I picked off a bunch. And I was very upset, because that means it's never going to grow. It's never going to ripen. It can't be eaten as is. Very often in life, we pluck things before they're ripe. We grab the things before it's the right time. Everything comes at the right time. Okay? So, but how do we know? We pray it on by. Help me to know. Help me to find what I want. But in the traditional prayer book, in the weekday Amida, there's a blessing, Shema K'lei, to hear a voice, and there's add on the words Av Rachman, merciful Father. It's interpreted, hear my voice, but be merciful. I'm asking for the wrong things. Give me only what I need, not what I'm asking for, because you know better than I do what I need. We may think you need $1 million, and that's not what we need. Rabbi Nachman was asked by one of his disciples. You talk about praying to God all the time. What I really want is money, but I'm ashamed to ask God for that. Rabbi Nachman said, if what you want is money, then pray for it, because then your prayer will be sincere. Once you start praying sincerely, you see that's not what you need. You need other things a lot more than money. Not that money isn't good, but money doesn't solve all the problems. It often makes other problems. Okay? Now, Rabbi Natan, that's Rabbi Nachman's student, comments. In Rabbi Nachman's books, he has many, many points of advice how to come to God. But the fact is, most of these are out of people's reach. People aren't strong enough even to take the advice itself. Okay? And the one piece of advice that we can always do is talking to God in our own words. I mean, does it cost anything? No special equipment, no special books. Talking to God in our own words, and that really fulfills all the advice. All boils down to that: talking it out, praying it on by, discussing the problem with God in all its details, and God sends us answers in the middle of our speech. Anybody can reach a level of prophecy by talking to God at length. God is involved in our prayer. It's a divine conversation, not it's a dialogue, not one way street. And even if a person feels he's very, very far, keep it up. You will find results in this. And the rabbis of the Talmud already pointed out you have to keep praying. Even it's not automatically the first time you ask you get an answer. Sometimes you need to keep on and on. It's a verse in Psalms. In fact, Ashkenazim say this psalm twice every day during the month of Elul before Rosh Hashanah. There's some for David, the God is the light of my life. There's a verse in there: Kavel Hashem, Chazak Kavel Hashem. Hope in God, be strong, and make your heart brave and hope in God. So what do the rabbis of Talmud say? Hope in God. It's not going to be that easy. You ask for it once, it doesn't happen, you're likely to lose faith. No. Make yourself strong and brave and keep hoping. Keep praying. When you go to therapy, not everything is solved in your first session in all likelihood. Okay? And you have to keep talking it out till you get to the real problems. Very often the problem you came in with is not what the problem really is. Same way in prayer, that you have to keep going on until you begin to discover. That helps you to discover what the real issues are and what the solutions are. Rabbi Nachman also said that once there was a famous rabbi who came to visit him, and there are two traditions who the famous rabbi was, but one of his contemporaries. And he had visited this rabbi once before, and the rabbi had delivered a sermon for him. Now the rabbi came back to him. He gave a sermon to the rabbi. And one of the points of it was that Rabbi Nachman said that when he's by himself, he attains understanding of God at a very, very high level, too high to give over to most people. But he said all these things are not nearly as valuable to him as when he does give over to people. That anything he understands only for himself is precious, but not nearly as precious as helping another person. Sometimes a word to another person, encouragement, can turn their life around. One of Rabbi Nachman's statements was when he was a young man, if somebody was said to him, "Be strong, my brother," he could have gone much further. Everybody discouraged him. You don't know what you're doing. You're taking the wrong path. Somebody would have said, "Be strong, my brother." He would have been much, much stronger. When I was in Israel and I was a rabbi in Kfar Tapuach, a number of my congregants were in prison. That's the nature of things over there. And somebody was visiting him, and he asked if I want him to smuggle in a letter. I said, yeah. I only wrote in the letter, "Be strong, my brother." I got a letter back. He said, "You have no idea what that meant to me. That it gave me new life. I was so lost that you said to me, 'Be strong, my brother.' You would call me my brother, and my feelings mean something to you. That gave me a whole new direction, even in the middle of this prison." We're all in prison in one way or another. Encouragement is very important. And Rabbi Nachman is saying, although I attain tremendous insight in spirituality, the lower ones I give to other people are more precious to me than the ones that are just between me and God. That helping another person, Rabbi Baal Shem Tov said, that sometimes you come to this life, live a full life, to help a person even once, one person even once, even with a physical help, and how much more so as spiritual help. That if we help one person along the way, we've accomplished great, great things. Rabbi Nachman says even greater than the exalted things he understands. Rabbi Nachman valued very, very